guys, welcome back to Red River TV. We have today Senator Bullard, who's going to be talking about a new pro-life bill that actually is getting its number today, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we don't have it yet. We'll get there.
So he's going to kind of talk to us a little bit today about what this bill is, what it's about, how it's going to affect Oklahoma. So first question is, can you tell us a little bit about this bill?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. So we've actually got two bills. One is dealing with declaring the personhood rights of an unborn person. This bill's actually passed the Supreme Court in 1989 out of Missouri. So this one just declares that what is growing inside of there from conception is a person. Whether there's no real big difference between a born or an unborn person.
Yes.
And the Constitution protects them. And the way it's worded is it says that that unborn person has constitutional interests in right to life and liberty, and that the state of Oklahoma has an interest in protecting them.
Awesome.
And so the Supreme Court's already passed this one. We the only changes that we made, we invoked the 5th and 14th Amendment, which is where that stems from. It's not the whole Constitution that protects them, but there are specific parts of the 5th and 14th Amendment, specifically the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause protects unborn people.
Awesome. And how is this bill different from other pro-life bills, just in your own words?
So there's a big difference in how you look at it. I don't really call it a pro-life bill. It's right to life. And really being a constitutionalist and looking at it from that point of view, what I'm looking at is that right to life concept and idea.
Gotcha.
The second bill that we're running is actually dealing with civil liabilities. And so it's a bit different from the right to life idea within personhood. This one is actually providing women with a tool to right a wrong, or in other words, to address a grievance that they might have had with the abortion. And one thing that we know is in the abortion clinic, it is corrupt. And the way that they get the consent to perform that abortion is massively corrupt.
Yeah.
They're doing it in a lot of different techniques. And so what we're saying in this bill is that if they got that consent through illegitimate means, if the woman was coerced, if she had been drugged or inebriated in any way, if she was lied to about what was in there, which happens nearly all the time, if they did not warn her about the physical or the psychological effects that she'll have from that abortion, then she can sue that physician for wrongful death because he got the consent to perform that abortion by illegitimate means.
Wow. I think that when you were talking about the 14th Amendment aspect of the bill, I've not seen very many bills that have actually spoken about the 14th Amendment, which I think is huge. And though and I will say this, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully, considering some of the people that are pro-life out there. But some of you ladies that follow us that are pro-life, you know what I'm talking about, where it's always been about protection of the child. But I do think that it's interesting, though, that there's protection for women.
Yes.
And a lot of people either are going to agree with that or disagree with it. But I still think that it's important that there is protection for the mother and for the child at the same time, which I think makes this a unique bill, in my opinion.
The idea is give women a tool to redress that grievance. And it's not the heavy hand of government coming in and just slapping it on the table and saying no more. This is giving actually the people here in Oklahoma a chance to put Oklahoma out of the abortion business.
Yeah.
And it should seem sad to us that we refer to abortion as an industry.
Exactly.
But it's a money-making industry.
Exactly.
And what we want them to do is go after that corruption and use a tool that we're giving them, a power that we're giving them to right that wrong.
Gotcha.
And that's exactly where we're headed with that.
Wow.
Okay. The next question is, how would you respond to people who say this bill wouldn't end abortion?
When you're looking at things, how do you end it? There are several ways and several different methods that are out there. We are choosing to not go that criminal route because I believe that this is a way to actually end abortion. And I've had a lot of people come to me with the analogy and say, well, the football analogy always gets used in this conversation, that we've run it to this far, and that this might just be another gradualist approach. Well, what if this was the approach? And it is. This is the approach to be the final step.
Mhm.
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
moving abortion outside of Oklahoma's borders. And
Mhm.
that's what we have control over here,
Mhm.
is to give women and families the powers to move abortion outside of our borders.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question to people has always been, if we have a chance to end abortion in Oklahoma, do you really care how?
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
Exactly. It's actually really good.
That's
and
good.
so here I'm looking at a different avenue.
Mhm.
We've chosen a way to think outside the box
Mhm.
to remove abortion from Oklahoma, and that's how we're
Yeah.
doing it. Now, there's a lot of different approaches to this,
Mhm.
but this approach says we're going to put them out of business. We're
Mhm.
going to take any profitability out of it.
Gotcha.
That what we want you to do, and by the way, one thing I forgot to mention, it does also offer protections for doctors. So if you instead of choosing abortion, choose live birth,
Yeah.
then what we will actually protect you from those civil liabilities, because what we
Mm.
want you to do is try the live birth. And what will happen is, as what it has done since 1973,
Mhm.
science will catch up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
1973, we
Yeah.
didn't have sonograms.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
we know what's going on inside there.
Exactly. Exactly.
1973, we didn't have a lot of the technologies, and there
Mhm.
are a lot of technologies out there right now that they're looking at, that you could probably, viability goes completely out the window now, because
Mhm.
now we can actually keep them alive and save both the
Yeah.
life of the mother and the child. And
Exactly.
so we have to have compassion for women who have been put into a situation that has horrified them,
Yeah.
and yet give them the tool to put us out of that business. And that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
next question is, what would you say? I guess you kind of already answered this in the last one. What would you say to people that call this an incremental approach?
It's probably not abolition in a traditional language that's used out there right now,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it doesn't criminalize.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But to me, abolition means to end abortion. So I ask the question again: if you have the chance to remove abortion from
Yeah.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Mm.
in a way that is very, this is a very unique approach, but it's going to be successful.
Exactly.
Uh, do you really care how we remove abortion from Oklahoma? And so it is, I guess you could make a claim that it would be some form of incrementalism, but this is the final increment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
fine with it as long as what
Yeah.
I'm doing here is the final increment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If what we're doing is just moving it another little ways down the field, I'm not as interested in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Although I'm not going to go, I'm not downplaying at any role of pro-life.
Mhm.
We are at the position we are right now because pro-life people have fought for so long, and
Absolutely.
they put themselves on those front
Yeah.
lines. So we're not
Yeah.
attacking them,
Yeah.
but what this is the final increment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is it incrementalism? Probably by some people's definition, but does it really matter to you if it's
Mhm.
final incrementalism?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't believe that um, abortion is not the type of thing in society that is going to be won by the long shot. Unfortunately, most of the pro-life people that I come across, they do not understand the legality. They don't understand anything that's going on in the court system with it. They don't understand the language, and so they're just mad because well, how come we haven't ended abortion yet? And you're like, it's like a million rabbit holes,
Well,
in there.
and allow me to speak to that for just a minute,
Mhm.
because I'm frustrated too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
since 1973, we've just kind of played with this thing
yeah,
called abortion,
yeah.
and it's not something we should have ever just messed around with.
Exactly.
And so I get that frustration, and I understand it, and that's why we have to take a unique approach.
Yeah, yeah,
This is different from something that's been tried in the past.
yeah,
Nobody's really tried this approach,
yeah.
and that's why it's going to work.
Gotcha.
This is a new, fresh way of thinking about it, that you take the profitability out of it.
Yes.
And that's just something that we're looking at right now on this bill, is taking a fresh stance on it. It's
Mhm.
not the old way of doing this
Mhm.
where it's restrictive. This one has simply got a way to put them out of business.
Okay.
Absolutely. Where do you see institutions of faith being involved in
Uh,
Oklahoma?
they're going to have to play a major role.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
we don't end abortion unless the church stands up.
I believe that.
And it doesn't matter if you want to argue about your different ideas within your faith.
Yeah.
That's fine within a pew. But
Yeah.
for right now, if what you want to do is end abortion,
Yeah.
if you want to move it outside and put it out of business, get Oklahoma out of the business of abortions,
Yeah.
then it's time to unify. And we can talk about the doctrinal stuff, and I like that. That's fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But this is bigger than doctrine.
It is.
It's
Yeah. Most
differences
definitely.
within the faith.
It is.
If you believe Jesus Christ is God's son and that he rose from the dead on the third day, you're my brother and my sister.
Mhm.
Right
Mhm.
now, it's time to lock shields around that concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, the Bible says 64 separate places that life is sacred to Almighty God. And we can't ignore that anymore.
No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, how can constituents get involved? Because we do have some people that do follow us that are in the Oklahoma area, and they've asked us, and of course we didn't, know what all was going on as far as what bills were going to be put out there just yet. But how can constituents now get involved now that this is going forward?
I can tell you that constituents have more power than they realize.
Did y'all hear that, Oklahoma? Does everyone out there in Oklahoma hear that?
It comes in the form of phone calls, emails, and letters.
Yeah.
I have received my first handwritten letter, pardon me.
Wow.
And that made an impact on me. Somebody
Wow.
was willing to take that time.
Yeah.
Phone calls do matter.
Yeah.
And so even if it's a phone call just to find out where you are on something, it makes us start thinking about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I will say that if you're going to lobby, you have to do it in a righteous manner.
Yes.
To anger someone, to push them to that edge of hatred, doesn't fly. And if you want to, I would love nothing more than for somebody to lobby for this bill. But really what we need to do is educate ourselves on how to lobby in accordance with God's will.
Yes.
We have actually done that. Bill Ledbetter is my pastor. And if you will reach out to Fairview Baptist Church in Durant, Oklahoma, we have an organization called Lighthouse America. And Bill has actually written training program that we'll send you. All you got to do is email us, and we will send you training on how to lobby in a righteous manner, and you'll come out of it better. You'll understand how to do it. You'll understand how God would have us do this.
Yes.
But if you don't stand up, it won't ever happen.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
you've got to call, you've got to write, you've got to come up there and talk to people in a godly manner. And you need to put it in terms, you need to leave their office and there be kind of a sweet sense about it.
Yeah.
That even if you disagreed with them, and you're going to disagree with some of them, you still have to leave that office in a manner that you could come back and lobby them again on another bill.
Exactly.
And that's how we have to approach it.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I hope that Oklahomans are listening to this interview. And if you are, please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Many of you, I know you've gotten involved recently with Second Amendment issues and all that kind of stuff, but this is something, you guys, is going to be incredibly important in the year 2020. And I keep feeling really in my heart that Oklahoma really is to be on the map this year. I really do believe this session is going to be special. Doesn't mean it's not going to be crazy, but it means that it's going to be, I think it's going to be special. I think
can guarantee you it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. Share this video. Contact Senator Bullard, please, if you want to hear more about what's going on with this bill, how you can get involved. I loved what you shared about, the lobbying issue as far as being able to do it righteously. That is really something that we need people to understand. My generation needs to understand. I'm talking to you guys right now with this. Anyways, thank you so much for coming in and letting us do an interview today.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. And listen, here's what's at stake. We have the chance to make Oklahoma a sanctuary state for the unborn.
Yes.
We have that opportunity. It's sitting right here in front of us. And
yes.
So any help is much appreciated. So thank you guys for letting me come on.
Awesome. All right. Until next time, you guys, take care.
Bye.